just explain to me, on Saturday over the weekend, everyone had thought that there was an agreement that workers would return to work and that the retrenchment issue had been dealt with. Today we find that a different grouping that is not representative of yourselves is saying workers are not going back. Give us the reasons for why workers are not going back, and is this grouping speaking for your members as well?
Well, Karema, to cut a long story short, we had a meeting on Friday with Anglo Platinum together with the so-called coordinating committee, and we agreed that 12,000 workers will be reinstated back to their positions on condition that they will also get some allowances. And these allowances were basically a hardship allowance of 2,000 rand for all workers that were on strike.
Would that be a once-off allowance?
Yeah, that was a once-off allowance. But in addition, some workers will get a loyalty allowance for being at work throughout. And there will also be a 2,500 rands, which is available as an advance, payable from January 2013. That was the agreement. Mm-hmm. Then the coordinating committee requested us not to inform our members because they want to go and be glorified as the winners at the end of the day. We refused. On the basis that we refused, they then started saying no worker will be back at work. And so today, that's why you have seen the conflict, is because some workers wanted to return to work, and those that did not approve then started stopping them from going to work. That's where we are.
Now, give us a breakdown, Lesiba. How many workers of those 12,000 retrenched workers are your members, and how many of them wanted to go to work, and what's happened to their attempt to go to work? Have they been able to enter the shops? What is the situation there? We know that the police have had to intervene.
Well, Karema, let me say that we represent around 80% of the workforce at Anglo Platinum. So out of over 30,000 workers, we represent already over 20,000. So basically, the majority of the workers that were dismissed are our members. I am not able to provide the exact statistics at this point in time. However, I must say that it is difficult for any worker to want to go back to work today, in the sense that what we have seen over the weekend when we had a march in Rustenburg, we had a small group of about 600-700 people who were trying to disrupt our march. And on the basis of the fact that there was violence that was used, it is becoming more difficult to say to a worker, go back to work today. Although our members are willing to go back to work, but how do they go back to work when there is such violence? I mean, we have lost a mine worker on Saturday.
Now, in terms of the actual position now, so those 12,000 workers that are out of work, they are still now not reporting for duty. Is that the factual position? And if that is the case, how does that affect the agreement that you had reached with the company?
Well, in terms of the agreement, workers had to be back at work, failure of which then their dismissals will stand. But we want to make a representation to Anglo Platinum to say it is not feasible for our members to go to work when there's so much violence. Because, look, you can argue that there is sufficient policing at the streets. There is also sufficient security.
Let's talk about that, Lesiba. You said you lost a member on Saturday. So the killings are continuing. Yeah. Have you met with the police and the law enforcement authorities to, in fact, check who was responsible for the killing of that worker, and has anyone subsequently been arrested?
Look, we have been meeting with the police on a continuous basis. Over 27 people had lost their lives, mainly our members, and 14 of them are our shop stewards in Rustenburg since August. So we have been meeting with police on a regular basis to give them briefings. I mean, for now, there's nobody who has been arrested for this killing. And that's why workers are hesitant to go back to work, because even if there's security on the streets and at the workplace, there's no security upon them returning back home.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's get back to that agreement that you've signed. You said that if workers don't report for work, they would in fact be effecting their own dismissal. Now, given the fact that there is the question of violence, what is the position of those 12,000 workers now? Are they going to be dismissed, or are you in negotiations with the company to restore some kind of law and order and stability so that people are actually free to resume work if they so wish?
Well, we are in talks with Anglo Platinum to say it is not feasible for these workers to be at work because of violence. They would like to be there, but I mean, how do you want them to risk their lives? So we are in talks about that, and we are quite hopeful that Anglo Platinum will be understanding that we need to first normalize the situation. We need to get culprits arrested. We need to ensure that there is peace and stability so that people can go back to work.
Well, Lesiba, we'll obviously be watching that very closely to see whether Anglo Platinum, in fact, does hear your plea to first restore the situation.